They say they're coming to arrest me today on Easter. They made a lobotomy by me just to keep me locked up, keep me under tranquilizers. I don't know. But, it's a story which goes back to childhood. I think it's actually an attack on it's the Catholic. What really is happening is as an attack by the Catholic Church on science and the Gnostic Church, which is still here. I mean, the people who believe Jesus was an alien and that there are aliens in the universe and so on are called Gnostic Christians. They lead a good life, but they die. And the Catholics decided to abolish that because there was no future in it, and there was no money in it. You can't make money out of selling somebody not having for nothing. So that's what they did. And I mean, we all like to think we're immortal. Nobody believes they're going to die, and I'm the same. I believe I live forever. But you know you don't, but you feel you do. It's one of those things. And science is a method of working which is actually universal. Everybody uses it. It's instinctive. But if it's formalised into a psychology or a philosophy, then you have the scientific method, which is used to find out things, find out relationships between things, and causes and effects on things. And so you can then use nature for your own purpose. But it's been used ever since there've been men, and of course animals use it as well, but to a less extent than we do. And you see, I'm not quite sure where the Tesla engine comes into it, but I think Tesla may have been somebody who said he'd gone to Mars or something like that. Well, I haven't been to Mars, so I remember, but some of my friends have. That's a difference. And I seem to remember that maybe I was dreaming. Of course, we've been dreaming. We do dream. That me and a lady called Margaret Oscar went to Mars. And I'm not quite sure how we got there, but I went on a way of streaming because it's what streamers are like. But it went double, so I was involved. And I'm not quite sure how it happened, but I think actually, I seem to remember it was actually, and we went to where one of the rovers was there, and it was by Rock Yogi, and we put our university cards on the machine so that it photographed it in such a way that it can't be seen by Americans if they switch the camera on. If it's got any power. But whether that's true or not, I don't know. There are some like it actually. But it's delayed, all these rumors fade. And of course you forget. And a few years ago I saw a flying saucer down the road with other people. I was walking down the road, what's it? I can't remember what it was now. Windy Moor Road, is it? Windermere Road. It's Windermere Road. And somebody pointed out something to the sky, and people were looking at it. And it was obviously a flying saucer. But I don't know what it was. I mean, obviously, that's just a term of something. I saw something in the sky, which I didn't know what it was. Well, that's not unusual. There are plenty of blimps around, all sorts of things. So I took a picture. I had my digital camera, took a picture, took a couple of pictures, one of them took a photo. And I thought, well, let's go home and get a bigger camera. So I went home, got a big telephoto, and it was that long. I went back to the same site, and of course, it had gone. But the man said, oh, it lit up and took off at a huge rate and disappeared. Okay, well, I just reported that, and all hell, that especially was a photograph, because I was a member of Photograph Society at the time. I can't afford the fee now, but I was. And I was ARPS. I'm not now because I can't afford the fee. And they didn't like it because it would mean our civilization would end overnight. Because I didn't know, but the West, the wonderful West, is actually based on the idea that we're immortal, and the whole legal system is based on that. So it's not true. And one of those things. And the Gnostic Church say that Jesus left a message to his brother James that he had to leave, and he couldn't take the brother with him, and he came from other lights in the sky, and he was going back home, and he would never come back. And that's it. He says his miracles were his technology, as well as his resurrection. Well, it's pretty advanced. You see, these aliens that they say don't exist. The Catholics don't like it because their money depends on people sending them money for going to heaven, basically. Basically, if you give them your money, you'll go to heaven. And of course, one of the treatments for this what we believe, which they say is illusion, is to mash the brain, which is very effective actually, because the person is unable to understand anything, and that's it. I think they found that out some time ago. I must have known it for thousands of years, like most people might have seen. Anybody, any human being can find out that by mashing somebody else's brain. So how dirty they are. It's happened ever since they've been fighting, ever since there've been weapons, ever since they've been mad. I must have known that. William I called him Norman the psychopath, who came over here 1066, was it? Something like that. He went around mashing people's brains and having sex with women and so on to increase his followings, and it was rather bad, very bad man, unfortunately, but he took power. And if you read the history, most men who take power are bad men, basically, go around killing people. Not all of them are. All of them are. Certainly there's good leaders and bad leaders, but a good leader leads for the benefit of his following, but a bad leader leads for the benefit of himself. That's a basic difference. And of course, there's some inefficient leaders who make a mess of things. I don't know what to do, so don't follow me, I'm lost, as you say. But as I say, there's a man called Dr. Ackroyd, I seem to remember he was one of the doctors at the prison I was in, was it 1962, when they falsely accused me of some attack. It was done in front of me, and so I was associated with the crime. And I took the child who was injured by this murderer called David Henry back, who was the judge at the trial, down to the hospital, which at that time wasn't very far. I don't remember where it was. It was Epsom actually, and there was a hospital opposite, quite near there. I think it's still there. I can't remember. I think it's still there. And so the child survived, but I was immediately arrested by a nurse and taken to the local lunatic asylum, which I think I'd recently left because that's how things work. I was there for saying aliens exist as well, but they tried to get me for more serious crimes. But in fact, I think the doctors knew I hadn't done it, and the treatment was to remove a brain tumour which caused me to have wild staring eyes. But my wife had cured that. It was temporary. I was married at the time to a beautiful woman called Rumfield, who was one of the nurses there. She seems an occupational therapist at the hospital, I think. But that's how it was. And of course I was a teenager, I was one of them, but one of those things. And well, they would have put me back there. I didn't escape 30 years ago, whatever it was. I was discharged, I was thrown out. I was given my keys and my money and allowed to go. That's all there was to it. It wasn't on leave, I wasn't on leave, I was discharged, I could go. I was told I could go. And papers were signed, and the local doctor got a letter from the hospital, Dr. Sharp, a letter from the hospital to say that I was from the hospital with, they said, schizophrenia. Well, schizophrenia is a terrible disease. Well, it isn't actually. It means intelligence in the working class. Since then, I've taken a medical course and I know exactly what it is. It's a way of clobbering the working class, and it's catastrophic. So if somebody of working class origin was not a Norman, anybody who's not a Norman is a worker. They used to call them Saxons. And they try and set up a business or anything like that. They're heavily clobbered because the business, because that's an insurrection, because the business are all reserved for the aristocracy, or the sons of the aristocracy and so on. Well, in fact, according to my birth certificate, a son of an aristocrat who was close to the royal family. But I don't know. There's a man called Major Stubbins who was a good soldier during the Second World War. But I discovered afterwards that the Second World War was actually a war of the Gnostic Church, by the Catholic Church and Hitler. But I don't know much about him. He was muddled, not very muddled, because he damaged his brain. But I think it was a different man. It's all very complicated. But the British are very clever. And I understand this island of Britain was set up by the Pope during the Norman invasion to act as something to stabilise Europe. So it's a sort of pincer movement. But the Normans think, or they think they're born to be leaders or something else. But of course, you do get deficient leaders as well. I don't know. They are clever people, but not all of them are. I mean, if you go to a place like Science Research Council, and all good jobs like that, most of the people there are Normans with PhDs. In fact, in this country, you can't get a PhD unless you are, in fact, a Norman or a linear close to the race to them. One of the Knight followers, from one end to Strevens, which is one of the knights who came over on the conquest was Strevens. So, and he wasn't as bad as the others, they said. So that's how it was. And this country is full of stories of insurrections against the Queen or the King, who's always been put down, always removed from power very quickly, because people would betray them for money and so it is. So there's no chance of doing that. But we do want Britain to be a democracy. In America, it did work. They managed to keep the British out. They've all got guns in America to keep the British out. Basically, that's what it is. So the Americans should keep their guns. And well, everybody having a gun is probably an unsafe situation, but it does keep the British out, because they can't gain up hand if someone, they get very cleverly. The first thing they do is disarm you. You come into another country, or let's hand you their weapons and make it peaceful. That means they've got guns and we haven't. So don't hand any weapons. So British are a nasty lot. Once they gain control over you, this wonderful operation there, and they destroy the culture of the country and replace it by theirs. And they think that's natural. Of course, it is natural. It's things that happened throughout history. If you read the history of the world, you find cultures come and go. One culture replaces another. But even in ancient Greece, when the Moors, the Muslims invaded and took over, the Greek culture, which was the land of Hellenes, actually fair. They're blonde hair, mostly all of them. But when I go there now, they're not like that. It's because they intermarried. The Moors came in and took wives. So we could be polite about it. They took wives from the. Well, I'm not quite sure what their religion was at that time, as I think it was. Well, it would have been Christians, wouldn't they? But I don't know. Greek Orthodox. Well, after the Moors left, they left the deans behind, but the culture was still the same as it was before, because the culture is passed on by the women. And in this country, women have been brain damaged to stop the culture being passed on. And so the children will not learn anything to do with science. So science will disappear. And well, that's daft, because we can't actually destroy science, because it will come back. But all this technology will disappear. Computers will disappear, cars will disappear, everything. Once the oil runs out, it'll be. They don't want to replace it, because their power will in the future depend on manual labour and slavery, and that's what they're planning. And it's probably the Catholics as well, actually. I think it's the Pope. It wants to destroy science and civilization itself on the grounds that they'd ignored the Pope. Well, the Pope is actually making money out of religion. That's what he's doing, is what it is. And the whole Catholic Church and other churches are making money out of it. They get rich. And this thing I'm making, which is just a reproduction of what Tesla is alleged to have discovered. I mean, I don't know what Tesla discovered. It's not recorded. It was all destroyed. But he's alleged to make a spacecraft that went out of the atmosphere. And that's one of his statements. Well, I don't know him. I don't know about it. But that's what he said. I didn't like him, because you can't, in this country, you can't travel through space, because it's heresy. The space means nothing, so I can't travel through it. And the idea of a hole in nothing was a joke, and I think I'd agree with them. Hole in nothing is a bit of a joke. But in fact, it's all based on relativity theory. And when I looked at relativity, I mean, I know they say Einstein was a genius. Well, if you look at his work, there was one or two deliberate mistakes. I mean, they are deliberate, because he said, you read his notes, he says, the math is too difficult here, I have to fudge it, basically. And there's one or two messes. And there's an alternative view which gives the same sort of formulas and so on, but it doesn't allow singularities or holes in space. So, no, I did actually was quite keen on holes in space at one time, but I've been to realise that's probably not true. But there's actually a statement about space-time, which at that time I really didn't understand. It's to do with velocity and so on, but if you travel fast enough, you'll get there quicker, won't you? Simple. But as you see, there's the light velocity is not a limit, really. It's just because that's how we appreciate things. That's just not, but it's just light. It's just not special. It's just another particle, shall we say? And the whole of physics. When you see this error he made, whole of physics, whole of relativity, physics, crashes, and doesn't affect ordinary physics. Forget about it. And it has to be rewritten by somebody, not me, but that's how it is. I don't know how to do it, all you have to do is PhD, that's it. But I think I want education open to all people, including ordinary people of ordinary working class origins whose father may have been a cleaner or a washer up, whatever, and they get on to be physicists and or whatever, chemists or whatever you like, philosophers. So because in this country people do that work are brain damage in the baby's lab, and they do it. I've seen it. You know, they just put a knife through her head, and of course it's a crime. It is a crime, but they're destroying half our future. So we need labourers and so on. But that's less so. When you say you've got machines, well, let's kill the workers. I mean that's a psychopath the people who are in power. They're coming today to get rid of me. Oh. I'm not quite sure whether to be out, and hopefully it was time to go out, or just be here to see what they do to me. And well, there's no chance really. You go out, you go on the run. You can run for a while, then you get caught. So there's no point. And if I stay still, they may leave me alone. I think they want me to run, you know, because that's a sign of guilt. They're accusing me of things they know probably what I didn't do, because they're the ones who organised it. And it's they say, oh, you're having delusions. Of course it is. There's never a lot with these Christians. Never a lot. And basically, they need bullets on the head, basically, especially psychiatrists. Terrible people. So I should probably be out, but not very far. I'll try to go down the road, probably. There's no point rushing around. And if I leave my mobile phone on charge, as it is when it's flat, then they won't ring me up. But they'll probably ring me some of the time. But they'll come back later because they don't leave you alone. But if you keep going on, I think the law says you've refused treatment, therefore you get discharged. And they say you're being treated. And hospital treatment terminates if you miss an appointment. So that's it. If you keep missing appointments, they have to stop treating you. When they get you in a death camp, well, that's what these so-called hospitals are. In hospitals, they have operations, don't you? Take your brain out. Madness. They say hearing voices, God knows what they are. It's very clever, psychiatry, and it's totally evil. It's really an evil thing. And psychiatrists are getting rid of people. And basically, psychiatrists should be hanged. And that's all there is to it. I don't know who they're working for, but it's just a sort of total destruction. I've done it in medical college, basically. First of all, you portray the person hearing voices or having delusions. Oh, you need tractor license for that. And that makes them stupid. The next stage, oh, you need a brain operation to say to no tractor license anymore. That's how evil they are. They're criminally insane, all of them. And of course, they're acting on behalf of somebody else. And it's probably a court order, not the state, it's probably a court order. I understand it comes from my cousin, who took out the court order in order to get rid of me, because they stole my money, basically. They embezzled the will. They must have rewritten the will. I'm not quite sure how they did it, because I wasn't there, but I heard they were planning it. And because other people would want it, of course. And so it's money like that, it's very priceless. I mean, Princess Diana, it was only £2 million, actually, not a huge amount, but she was president the whole time. It's not nice being rich. My sister, who has about the same amount of money, it's also unpleasant to be rich. And she disowns me because if she accepted I was her brother, which I am, then they'd have to share the fortune over 3 of them, so 2 of them. Well, that's how money is, and it's very evil. Even the money I earned, you know, I earned a lot of money once. I can't remember what I did, but I was doing things that people wanted, and I got paid a lot of money. I don't want to buy a wish, and I'm not quite sure who did it, but so it was. And there's no answer to it, is it? No answer to it. Apparently, if I joined our church, or whatever that is, I'll become rich again, or possibly. But he's not sure that's a bribe because our church is a criminal organisation. I don't join it. But it is harmless enough. When you go there, they're all lunatics. Faith healing and miracles, and God, talk with tongues, all nonsense, it really is. The Anglican Church doesn't do that so much, but they're just nasty. They talk, so I know all they say is not true, and I know it, and they know it too. They use it to control me. That's how you do that. And there's really nothing I can do. I think they came, actually, I was asleep last night, and they came into my house through the night, so it's a difficult question opening the door. And why I will do it. And so they came into my flat and examined me, looking for birthmarks, because this criminal who goes around raping people allegedly has birthmarks. Well, if I didn't have them on, I'd still be here. I was still here, so I probably didn't have them. But they identify people first. I don't know. Of course, if I was a rapist and murderer, that would be the right thing to do. I'm not. I no longer fecund. I'm not a rapist exactly, but I did have friends, and man can't control himself basically, but I looked after them. And I had to ask for treatment, and so I think that they gave me, I think they found something pressing on me, some sort of cyst or something pressing on the kidney, which was a problem when I had that out. And my son disappeared, but I'm not sterile, because my wife runs quite normal. And but I also take finasteride for prostate cancer, and that also takes away the person's fertility. But if you take it too much, the penis disappears. I think they were trying to change me into a girl or something daft. Well, I wouldn't be a very good girl, would I? I mean, they say these things are actually female. I don't know. I always had them, and it doesn't matter. I'm not female, I'm a man, and I find girls just as attractive as other people. But unless you join a gang, you don't get any girls. Men go around in gangs. And because I don't quite fit in, they would have me. Every day, I'm not rich enough, actually. You go to a pub with a gang of men, you expect to stand around for drinks. But I don't have enough money to do that. You know, I understand it, but I don't have the money. So I can buy myself a drink and go to a pub, but I can't buy a round of drinks because it's a lot of money. I don't have the income, and that was a problem. I never have any money. I spend it on my things at home. I do have some money, but not enough. Working class don't get very much money. One time I wasn't working class, I was earning much more than other people. It was quite unpleasant. And the people I didn't like me had no understanding what I was doing. And I told people they were angry. Because it involved finding life in space, or it could involve finding life in space. In fact, it was a space station I worked on, not in space, but Slough. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that. Didn't like it, but it's a sad one. And I wasn't given any support at all. That's it. Sorry. They're all out to get me. Well, in fact, it's a very small number of people out to get me. Fanatical Christians. Well, I'm not actually anti-Christian, but I am anti the sort of things, some of the things they teach in fundamentalist churches. They go around murdering people. I don't think the Anglican Church do, but not so much. And they murder people in a different way. And unfortunately, they think they're at war. They decide to declare war on people who aren't Christians, actually. So that causes a lot of trouble. And they have this law, thou shalt not kill, but they just maim people instead. They say terrible things. I've heard some terrible things about like taking people's skin off, stuff like that. It's incredibly painful. The person dies. And break arms and things. So it's awful. Christians are devil themselves. So, but they're bigoted, they're awful people. Awful people. And I did actually satisfy one of their demands. I went to church on Sunday, which was very harmless. I just sat there, and the preacher actually quite a nice young lady. No, she was, but she was a vicar, and I approve of female priests. There's not married priests as well, because they don't have such sexual acts. But she gave a happy talk. Quite short, I can't remember what it was about now, but I seem to remember quite interesting. And then they discussed, and then they had this ceremony, which is the heart of the Christian Church, Holy Communion. But it's actually all it is to remember Jesus. All the ceremony is to remember Jesus. That's all. And some people, some Christians, some followers of Jesus have a breakfast every morning. It's a glass of wine, a red wine, and which represents blood, and some bread, ordinary bread, represents Jesus. Now that's the difference between the Protestant Church and the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church says it becomes present, becomes present, and the wine becomes blood. But of course, it clearly does. But it's pretty simple, and that's the essential difference. Because the wording is like that, but of course it's nonsense. He represents it, and that's all. The people who believe that Jesus is God and stuff like that, all he does is represent. They think, the Christians think, that eating this stuff will wash away sin. Well, if they think it does that, then you go and Catholic Communion, then your sins are washed away. Then that's better than having you burned alive. But the order thing is being burned alive, which is what they do in Christian churches. And this death camp I was in was a Christian death camp. People who don't accept the Christian faith are actually burned alive. They cut off the brain stem by cutting a knife in here somewhere and destroy the brain. And they actually cut something. It's still there. Person's alive and understanding, but they it really is awful. And the person I was speaking to after yesterday probably knew that, and he said, "Oh, this is delusion." He was actually so frightened he wanted me to lobotomized. Or just silence me, because I sussed it out. And most people go there just give them tranquilizers and go, don't suspect it. There's a lobotomy ward and also this running alive. It really is awful. It really is awful. The Christians are the devil themselves. Actually, they are the devil. Although I don't approve of violence, the Boko Haram and the ISIS are actually removing Christianity. And the Muslims are actually descendants of the Gnostic Christians. So they're not, their faith is similar to the Gnostic Christians. And I don't know what it is. I have a copy of the Quran here, which I haven't read. But it's actually quite difficult to read because it's flowery language. And so I don't really understand it. And that's partly because the brain never taken me, the tablets taken me. I don't understand complicated things. That's all right. But I can't read it, basically. And so it's there, but that's my religion now. I don't like violence, and it's because the Christians are hyper violent, they really are. It's hidden violence. Britain's like that. It's even worse. France is slightly different. I think in France the law says you can leave aliens, but they don't have Muslims over there because they're at war with them. So, not a safe place for me to go. It's not safe here either. I wouldn't be safe in a Muslim country. And very bad thing to do. Obviously, I don't like these wars, and it really is awful. But you feel you have to do something, then bad it is. So what's to stay out of it? But I've been attacked by the Christians. They attack so the Christian church would, their method would attack Muslims one at a time and murder them in these hospitals. And I see Muslims in there, and they take drugs that destroy the brain. And they come in normal, come out stupid. And that's how bad it is. And even there's a woman coming there who was she was a Muslim, but I don't know whether she'd actually done some sort of crime or not, but she said she wasn't, and she was given a lethal injection in a few hours, and she died. That's an execution in Britain. They say death penalty is no longer there, but it is. They still do it. So they're lying. They do kill people in Britain. Not a democracy. Well, European law says there's no death penalty. There is in Britain. And I understand that in France they still have a death penalty. They talk about a man called Mr. Rice, who's apparently the operator, I think, of the team or something like that. Well, they do have it. In France, arsonists and murderers are guillotined, which is a bit like a lobotomy, really. Anyway, people who get to know me, although I don't look much, I'm actually quite a nice person, and that's what they find out. My experience, but the people I talk to, well, I educate them, and they turn against church, and that's not my fault. But and they get murdered. They say my supporters. Not all their actual supporters, but that's what happens. If you support me, you'll get killed by the church. Know about that. Church is a very clever, well organised organisation, and they're absolutely terrible criminals. They may think they're doing the right thing, but absolute terrible criminals. And they say that I'm actually executed for I didn't do it for the real reason. Possibly as a sense of my building, I don't know. That can't be the reason execution because it would be beneficial. It's a beneficial engine. And the steam engine took a long time to be accepted. I think about 200 or 300 years before it was accepted. And it wasn't until Herschel took it out that it was accepted. And Herschel was an aristocrat. Well, I've got to find an aristocrat who date this thing. And the local church is full of aristocrats, so they can take it. And they might take it if I've done after communion. But that's how it is. But it's quite dangerous having communion because you go up to the eventually kneeling down, and they can easily knife you in the head while you're sitting there. But the priests normally have a lucatelle in their pocket. You see a little silver thing, and that's actually a knife. They can kill people. So, like everywhere else, danger everywhere. We're all, ever since evolution started, we've been an animal liable to sudden death, and we're evolved to cope with it. Okay? So, nothing to worry about. I'm not really worried. Of course, death is very serious. You stop existing afterwards. And, most animals haven't got the ability to predict that far, but they are able to understand that they could die. And I wouldn't have thought they even wonder what happened afterwards. They even thought of it. They're just the animals are able to do that. That's sentience. Well, I call that the tragedy of sentience. In other words, you're clever enough, they're going to die. And you can't do anything about it. You're not clever enough, no, you can't do anything about it. And that's it. It's pretty awful. Throughout the universe, that's true. And a lot of sentient beings commit suicide in order to get it over with. I mean, Olympia, who wanted to believe she was immortal, would try to commit suicide and prove she was immortal. So she'd come back. Now, I don't know what happened to her. She succeeded in committing suicide. Well, they've taken her brain out, which is, well, it's the same thing. It's really savage. And that's how terrible Christians are, especially psychiatrists. And I really don't know why I'm under attack. And basically, this is the end.